right, guys. Last podcast of 2024.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
You look great, Ben.
There it is.
Yeah. So Ben, why don't you start us off and talk to us about what you're wearing and why?
Okay. So this is a dreidel.
And what's a dreidel?
I know many of you think that this is a little large, long, but it's a dreidel. And a dreidel is, I wish we had some. We could have spun on the table.
Is it a toy?
It's a game that they play with gelt. You can see there's 4 different letters on the side of the head.
Does it spell something?
Each of them stand for something. So this right here is a G.
Okay.
So if you're playing with a group of people, you take it all. Hey, which is an H, stands for half. If you're playing with a group of people, you take half.
Is that like where it lands?
Yeah, so like you spin it and then it
You spin
lands.
what it-
Yeah, and then if it hits
So you get everybody's dreidel if it gets a G.
So everyone, like, you spin a dreidel, it goes around, and there's like a pot of gelt, which is usually like money or something. And if it lands on whatever, so for S shin, this is you put one in, and then none, which is none, and then you just go around the table.
It's like LCR.
It's a fun little game.
Can you
but
gamble? Like,
Yeah. What's the?
Yeah, they started it
Like
when-
liar's dice.
Yeah, they started it.
Jewish
version. Yeah, they played it, but it was big when Hanukkah, which the origin of Hanukkah obviously is the celebration of light, where they thought that the oil would only burn for 1 day and then it ended up burning for 8 days. So that's
Thus
what,
you get 8 days worth of gifts too.
That's
you
right.
know, that sort of dwindles as you get older. This year,
you're just
Same
stuck
thing
wearing a
with-
dreidel.
With those of us that believe in Santa Claus, I tell my kids the day you stop getting gifts is the day you stop believing in Santa Claus.
oh god.
And then what did we in Jewish real estate related? What did we see today at Walk in That House?
Oh, a mezuzah on the side. I
I've-
think that was like, if you don't know, like if you're renting a property
You
or
seen this?
something, on the side of like a border of a house when you walk in, there's a
Oh yeah,
little-
yeah, on the side of the
Yeah, it's usually on the side of a board. A lot of people don't notice it, but like if you're walking in a friend's house or something, especially door knocking, it's
Maybe
how many
maybe
notice.
Jacob can put a picture up of that.
Yeah, so Medusa has a little scroll in it, but it's basically like a prayer over your house, and it's kind of.
And what do you do when you walk in?
Some people kiss it, other people put it on more of like just like the meaning of like your house is like
Blessed.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've all been blessed this year, right? I mean, especially as a real estate team, obviously, our families are healthy, families are growing.
Amen. Oh my gosh.
And, our real estate team, again, thanks to our clients and friends, have made it a really, really a blessing this year in terms of how many families we've been able to help, especially like right now. I mean, I know we've all got a couple of escrows closing that we'll be able to give keys to our clients, right before the holidays. So,
It's fun.
yeah. And, looking forward, I know we have some high goals for 2025. And so again, thank you to all of our clients and friends that, trust us with their referrals, and looking forward to supporting them in the new year. I'm going to jump right into stats. And I know we cover stats throughout the year. Obviously, we've talked about the seasonality of them and how they dip down this time of year, and then usually February or so they start to pick back up. But right now, we only have 403 single-family homes in the entire county. So for those buyers out there that can't find anything right now, just wait a couple weeks, right? I mean, I know our team.
Holidays.
Yeah, enjoy the holidays. Rates have actually come down consecutively over the last 3 weeks. And I know just our team alone has at least 6 new listings coming on January 6th.
That's right.
So, we're ramping up for a big year next year. And for all those buyers out there, just be a little patient.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week, Jason G and I too, just kind of how the market has shifted even compared to last year. And Dan, I think in the meeting today said it again, just repeated himself. Compared to last month, 11% down in inventory. And compared to last year at the exact same time, 26% down in inventory.
Yeah.
So a lot went on at the end of this year compared to last year, election and everything. But yeah, next year, I think, again, we always say February, second week of February after Super Bowl. I think first week of January, second week of January, it's going to be booming.
Well, yeah, especially with Niners not being in the playoffs.
I think mathematically there's still a chance.
A lot of people get to hang out now
But,
more and
the-
think about
the
that.
thing I don't want to. I know as agents we kind of give this perception that February it's going to be on, like all the houses are hitting the market. Listen, we never saw that this year, right? The highest we went on single family homes is what, 900?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's all relative.
Still
Yeah,
minimal,
yeah, it's all relative. We have 403 today. By February, we'll be lucky if we have 600.
403 single-family homes.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
403.
Last week we were at like 600.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Well, that's what happens this
200.
time of year. They all get absorbed.
Well, yeah, and from our coming soon list, so for coming soon, for those watching or listening, those are homes agents have put in the system but not available for consumers' eyes. We have access to. So there's 200 single-family homes in coming soon. So like us, everybody's kind of waiting to get past the holidays, and then it's going to dump on the market. So I do think there's going to be, for buyers, there's going to be a little window of opportunity, first week of January to the first week of February, where you're going to have a good amount of inventory and maybe not as much competition, right? Because then when spring kicks in, then more buyers start to go out there and look for opportunities. So that's it on inventory.
Exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about new laws coming into effect in California. I'm gonna cover 3 really quick. This one's interesting. SB 450. SB 450 goes into effect this coming year, and it basically drops zoning requirements for residential neighborhoods, which would now allow you to split your lot into up to a total of 4 lots to build structures on there and then sell them.
So how does that differ from SB 9?
It differs from SB 9 because you're not, from what I understand, and we'll get more information, you're not required to do that whole condo HOA thing. Right. It's, hey, take your lot, subdivide it into 4.
They have a minimal size?
Yeah, there's some size requirements, but
it's minimal.
It's minimal, yeah.
It was like 1250 with SB 9, right? I mean,
yeah, so it's it's really interesting to see what's going to happen going forward. I mean, obviously construction costs are high, infrastructure, right? I mean, you know what it costs to bring power and sewer and all that stuff up.
So, and that's for the county, you said?
State.
So they would have power over like a city though. So like if someone in Los Gatos wanted to just in a neighborhood that probably isn't meant for 4 homes, just split it and throw it 4.
Like HOAs.
So they can't say anything.
Right? Yeah, so that's
HOAs.
But I mean, they can try to fight it. Like for instance, when you go to SB 9, there was not a lot of developments that have actually been pushed through SB 9.
right, because it's very restrictive.
It is, especially when we talk about the condo side of it.
Yeah, and you got to live in it and all that.
Even though they're out there, they haven't really been successful at pushing them through. So it would be interesting to see how SB 450 goes as well.
That duplexes was bad.
Yeah, but the thing that all the neighborhoods freak out about, it's like, they got a beautiful Rinconada Hills gated community, and now they're going to come in and build these 4 units on the same lot. We haven't seen that happen much because, one, there's still the desirability that somebody wants to live there because of the way it's situated.
Absolutely.
And you start putting up. We had a client that was doing that. It didn't work out too well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. My hope is that because there are still lots of areas in San Jose, particularly downtown, where still needs to be gentrified.
Yes.
Has large lots with 1,000-square-foot homes on them. Divide that into 2 or 3. Yeah. Put some properties on there. It helps with housing. It's a benefit to the investors.
That's what these new laws that are coming out are meant to take care of. It's not meant to change the entire feeling of a flowing family neighborhood necessarily, right? It's to be able to take advantage of those areas that make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean you can split your lot into 4 and then put high density housing on all 4, right? So it still has to conform. So, but that one's interesting. I'm all for cutting government red tape, make it easier to build, all that good stuff. Second one, SB 1395. This one's actually benefits government and municipalities. It's going to be easier for local governments to put tiny homes on lots. I think it's gaining traction.
I mean, what's the definition of a tiny home?
Little house.
Yeah, right.
No.
Like what you see in a toy store.
600 square feet, 250 square feet.
If that, it can be
no bathroom, right?
Well, no, it's basically like a studio box,
Yeah.
right? So it's got, it just depends. But what I'm seeing on these government sites is kind of a Murphy bed.
Right.
You fold down, becomes a table or something when you're not using it. Small bathroom, small kitchenette. I think it's a good thing. I mean, we're seeing more of them happen in San Jose specifically, and you know what? I'm all for that. If there's a way for people that want to get off the streets, because not all of them do.
So that's a solution
Transitional
for unhoused
housing.
individuals.
Correct. Specifically to allow governments to make it easier for themselves.
Yeah.
To put tiny homes.
That's good. That's good.
And the last thing for our landlords out there, we have Forbes Property Management Group, manage quite a few doors throughout the valley. Mark and I talk a lot about, as much as we love California, it can be challenging to be a landlord out here. And here's yet another law that makes it a little more challenging for a landlord. That is AB 2347, Currently, when you serve your tenant an eviction notice, they have 5 business days to respond, or else it's a default judgment, right, Mark? The state of California has now doubled that, and now that tenant has 10 business days to respond. So again, just prolongs the process.
And thus the reason why we're going to continue to be rolling out our wealth building seminars, and why there are some benefits to investing outside of the state of California, where you can see a lot better returns, ROIs, and less headaches sometimes.
No,
I have
absolutely.
a question. Does that mean time to respond is in time to pay up forward, like on the rent? Like, what do you mean respond?
Yeah, so you have to, I mean, and Mark can elaborate on this, but you have to provide a written response.
Right. I mean, that's once the eviction's been filed and everything. The court has said that once you get notified of it, it was 5 days. Now they've just doubled the time period on it, which is frustrating because by that time, yes, the tenant has already, the landlord probably has not been paid for several months, if not multiple weeks, anyways, that they've missed their own mortgage payment and everything else. So it does, why it might just sound, it's only an extra 5 days. And then also keep in mind, if you're a landlord where your goal, where the tenant has had a habitual situation of not paying their rent, and at the end of the day, you've worked with them and you just want to go forward with the eviction, don't accept any rent.
Yeah.
Don't accept any rent.
Partial
Partial rent, because as soon as you can accept $1, and all of a sudden now you got to redo the eviction on it, right? So, yeah.
And that's actually another reason why a lot of times people own rental properties. They think they can manage it themselves, and then realize the nightmare of that, which is how
Well, not just that. There's so many reasons why a professional property management company makes sense, right? I mean, I talked to a client yesterday. The families had like 7 properties in Silicon Valley for years, 50 years in one of the cases. Long-term tenants, 20, 30-year tenants in these properties, simply because mom and dad never increased the rent to market. And now these are literally, it's a great thing that their tenants haven't moved out. But for one, they haven't looked at these properties for about 10 years.
So deferred
and
maintenance.
2, potentially. And 2, the rents are about 50% of where market is.
which kills the value of the building.
Yes, because with rent control now, you cannot just jack it up. Those used to be like golden goose eggs.
Yeah.
Where you can get it under market and then you can go in, fix it up, rehab it, and turn it around. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I've seen 2 fourplexes on the same street for sale, identical floor plans,
Different price.
like $800,000 difference.
Yeah.
Because building A has market rents.
Yep.
Building B has rents from 20 years ago.
And at 5% plus CPI, it's going to take you 10 years to catch up.
Exactly.
If you can.
So can we clarify what is under rent control? It's single family, or
It's four units and above.
Yeah.
4 units above,
Yeah.
and then any.
But here's the
duplex
deal
or
with this.
single family is no control. You can
Well,
use it as much as
here's the problem with those. And under today's environment or the climate that today's is, I mean, even if you have a single family and you go to move somebody out, or you try to just jack up the rent, they have a lot of renter right groups out there. The Phoenix Project is one of them.
Yeah.
That you just don't want the news cameras coming to your door and stuff. And so again, it's just made it more challenging.
Yeah, which again, another reason to have professional property management that understands the laws, rules, and regulations, for how to manage those situations.
Yep.
Deferring to you.
You want our top 10 list? We need those songs, dude. Like
I keep
it was like a
saying
David Letterman and stuff.
Jacob
Top
put it
10, woohoo! And today I have 2. One's 11, and the other one's only 5. So the first one, the 11 most expensive cities to live in the U.S. How many of them are in California?
I got it out of 11?
Yeah.
I've got to say 5 out of the 11.
6. I'm saying 60.
like 2.
5.
5.
But I don't know. David could have just seen my notes here.
No, I did.
You want to guess which
No,
the
you're
5s
like
are?
a doctor.
The number 1 is San Francisco.
Okay.
Most
Which is
expensive.
interesting. Most expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought
Most
San
expensive.
Diego.
No. San Francisco tops the list of the most
Okay.
expensive. New York City, Honolulu,
Yeah,
right?
that.
San Jose.
No
Yeah,
right?
San Jose's right on
I thought
it.
we'd be higher.
Los Angeles, right? Los Angeles is so vast. Some of the different areas. Washington D.C., Boston, Seattle, San Diego, Oakland, California.
I told you, up and coming.
Oakland,
Talk about the
California.
food over there.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
but-
got ranked for best food in America.
Oakland?
Oakland.
It did. I read the
Just
same
got,
thing.
just got topped over
Yeah.
New Orleans.
I think Oakland's one of those cities recently, just like San Francisco's, really had a bad rap.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've really got some cool areas. I mean, Jack London Square, some of the areas,
and
the hills,
and whenever
everything.
there's tons of culture, there tends to be tons of good food,
Well,
right?
isn't it right?
and
That's the reason
Oakland
why
is
California
great.
itself blows away anywhere. We
Absolutely.
recently went out to Missouri.
By choice.
I know, fried okra, fried.
Oh yeah.
But they made a mean pie. Their pies were awesome. Grandma was making them in the back kitchen.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, everywhere else it's either fast food, super nice, nothing in the
Yeah,
middle.
absolutely. Or barbecue. Maybe barbecue.
lot of barbecue.
Right? Exactly. And then here, this one's interesting for today's time because in today's world, we have a lot of people saying, I'm leaving America. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who want to do that, there's 5 countries that will actually pay you to move there.
Please say Mexico.
Let's go.
It's really interesting, some of these. Switzerland is one of
Pay
them.
you to move
They
there.
will pay it. So Ireland.
How much?
Yeah, I know exactly how much it is. 70,000 euros.
Okay.
They will pay you, but you have to buy a vacant property and they'll give you a refurbishment grant for 70
Wow.
euros, 70,000 euros, which is probably about 100,000 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
The one drawback is the program does not offer you residency, and the property had to be vacant for 2 years.
Okay.
Okay. Next one's Switzerland. In Switzerland, if you're under the age of 45, which you guys are, they're going to give you 25,000 Swiss francs
Okay.
per adult under 45 and 10,000 Swiss francs for your kids. So keep popping out those kids if you want to go to Switzerland. And it's considered one of the best places to live and work, by the way. Let's see, what else we got here? We got, what's that, 2 of them? Japan.
What?
Japan.
It's so cheap there.
Japan, you know why? Because Japan is the first time ever. They have a reverse population happening right now. All of the
They're not having kids.
No, and all the young kids, they're all moving. They're all getting to California, the States, everywhere else. But they will pay you 3 million yen,
What's the conversion rate on that?
20,000 bucks.
Sounds good.
But they will give you bonuses for living expenses. But you have to commit to 3 years.
They want people. So all these countries want people.
Absolutely, they do.
Thing about
Yes.
that, those countries in Asia pay a really good wage for American teachers out there.
Absolutely.
So if you teach like
Yeah.
English or something, like
Right. It's usually room and board and everything else.
yeah,
right?
exactly. It's a good
So Chile's an interesting one. They'll pay you 15 million Chilean pesos. That's 15,000 bucks. and that's it. There you go. So if you are like some other people that want to get the hell out of Dodge, there you go.
Well, I mean, Jeet, who is not here, who's currently in India, has lived in other countries, right? Ben, you spent time in
China, right?
China.
You
How much-
did.
Israel. Yeah.
Israel, yeah. And so, would you ever think about going back and living the rest of your life out in a different country?
Never live.
Yeah.
Never live.
I think it's something when you're younger to go experience and stuff, or maybe when you're
If you
Nah,
have
but
a different
got
background,
kids.
I think maybe more culturally diverse than I am, like speak the language. Like,
You,
I don't
do
know.
you speak
it's-
Chinese?
No.
For anyone that doesn't know, what were you doing in China?
Interior design.
Yeah.
I know.
You're well rounded.
Well rounded.
Yes.
Like the top of my dreidel.
An American in China doing interior design.
I know.
What'd that look like?
Well, I mean, it looked a lot better than it sounded.
Well, I was gonna say, can we do the next podcast from your house and see how good your interior design skills
it's coming
are?
along.
We're still working on it. Foldable table.
There you go.
Which I have a decent topic here. Kind of leads me into it. If you don't mind me skipping you.
No, go ahead.
All right. So we've been recently talking. I know you guys talk to your sellers a lot about this. Obviously, we overhear a lot of it, and we're getting forward to the selling side. But we've been talking about kind of like when you go into a property that you're selling, if you want to put in work, where do you start and where do you stop? And if sellers are thinking about, okay, we have, I mean, maybe we can use an example. If I have a distressed property, maybe a 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath or something that's weird. Like, do you spend the money to put in an extra bathroom? Do you try to fix it up to where you can get it on the market? Like, what are you telling sellers to, like, how much money should you invest? And I ask that because our team, gratefully, covers a lot of these upfront costs. So sometimes when you hear it, okay, do you take advantage of that? Or do you stop and be realistic about the situation going into it?
It's not a one size fits all, right? Because doing a permitted bathroom or conversion, say in Los Gatos, is probably more worth it than if you do it in the, say, foothills east side of San Jose.
Yeah.
Right. So it really just, it does depend.
Yeah, what I love is how diverse the answer to this question will be, especially even on a team like us, right? I mean, you guys know I come from the school of, if you're in a hot market like this, don't lose the time that's going to. I mean, I have a problem. This was just brought to me by another agent the other day. Property's older property, but it's actually in pretty damn good shape. And the seller is like, oh, my brother's telling me I got to do the bathroom, the kitchens, and the agent's getting caught up in this, right? Oh, well, yeah, we can go one of the programs. They let us borrow $200,000 to do it. And I'm like, man, that is a challenging scenario because you're going to guarantee to your client that they're going to get back at least 2 to 3 and get their times what their investment was and then sell it quicker. Well, in the meantime, you're losing 2 to 3 months worth of timeline on the market. And then where the hell do you stop? Right? Okay, I'm going to remodel a kitchen. Oh, God. Well, that's going to make everything else look like crap. So now I got to do the bathrooms. Next thing you know, you've dragged this process out. So I do think it's a case-by-case basis by location, what's desirable in that neighborhood. But I also feel that if you're in an active market, we know right now, pretty much any property we put out there, you price it out there right, it's going to fly off the shelves, multiple offers, and I personally believe that a buyer wants a blank canvas. I don't believe that unless if you're a contractor doing flips, spec home, stuff like that, I don't think that the typical seller is going to put the money into that property that a buyer would want to have done. And I've seen a lot of times sellers and agents will get caught up in this. Next thing you know, the buyer comes in, rips everything out and does it their own way.
Yeah.
So I look at distractional issues. Hey, if there's do your inspections, you got water leaks, you got issues, you got
health and safety
pet
stuff,
smells, you got shag carpeting from the '60s. Maybe change that stuff out. Most of the time, we do at least paint and carpet, flooring, stuff like that. Make it look the best it can. But I'm personally challenged with the way the market is right now to offer that up to my client. I mean, we do have properties. So most of our properties, I think, we're putting 30 to 50 grand in, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
what would you say those What would you say those kind of top things are that you tell your sellers immediately? I know we say it all the time.
I mean, what I've learned, especially over this past year, curb appeal, right? Spend a little bit of money on some landscaping.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because again, it's distractions, right?
And that's not an expensive thing to do.
No.
Put some color out there.
So landscaping, kitchen, right? I mean, obviously, like Mark talked about, you're going to paint the entire interior probably one color, something neutral, that the staging furniture, the photography looks well in, do the floors if necessary. And then,
put some new hardware on the cabinet.
Yeah. But kitchens first, 'cause that's kind of the heart of the home, after the curb appeal, and then bathrooms if necessary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. You start opening walls on an old house.
Well, yeah, I see a lot of people they'll renovate a house and not do the roof and stuff like that.
I don't know. Hold on. This is good.
What? Wasn't talking about any specific.
No. This is perfect because I feel a roof is one of those things that you don't get ROI on. You spend 30 grand on a roof. You're not going to get 30 or 50 grand back for
100% because it's expected that the house have a roof on it, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I think if you're looking, I think you're just is what it is, and the buyer knows that at some point they're going to have to update the roof.
Well, and they're going to offset the price because of that too. Without a doubt. The other way that you could handle these situations is, and I've done this many times before, where you have a property, bones are all great and everything, but maybe it's from the 60s, right? Have an interior designer come through and put out samples of carpet and paint and renderings of what it could look like.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I've done that many times, so that way the buyer, because a lot of buyers don't have the imagination, right?
Yep.
They're going to come in, oh my God, that kitchen's going to cost me 100 grand. Oh no, look, we got a bid to actually do it for 28,000 bucks.
Yeah.
Here's what it could look like. We'll even help you out, put it together for you, right? So.
Yeah. And what's our saying? Every dollar we spend, we want to get $3 back.
Yeah, at least
That's
3 to 5 at a perfect.
Definitely don't want to lose it, right?
Yeah.
I know it's always, I always cringe when I get a call from a potential seller and they're like, yeah, I've already started renovating the home. As soon as I finish, I'll have you come out and look at it. And I'm like, stop what you're doing right now. Like, I'll be there in 15 minutes. I don't want you to spend any more money, unless we agree to do it together, because so many times they do the upgrades that they would have wanted to do themselves if they lived in the house.
Exactly.
And it's not necessarily what the consumer as a whole is looking for in today's
And I think that's a great point that sellers need to understand too, is that when you hand a property over to us, keep in mind we're going to be making that property market ready for the market, not for you, not for us, right? So you might not like that San Francisco fog with the Swiss coffee trim, but that's what sells right now.
I have a perfect example of that. I've got a property where the seller did everything their way, was very proud of themselves, and all of the feedback I got feedback for the most part on the colors and all of that was negative.
Yeah.
You know, and it hurts my heart because here this guy put, you know, his time, effort, money into it, you know, because he'd done it before in the past and it worked for him. But had he just stopped and, you know, asked myself and our team what we thought of the color combos, you know, the patterns, material, I think it could have potentially been a different outcome.
Yeah, there's two things I say in that. Early on in my career, when I finally learned, you know, we're there to advise a client, and there's certain things that they don't have to spend the money on. It was a pretty large house over in Scotts Valley. Client wanted to replace all the carpet. I was like, well, the carpet's okay. Why don't we do this? Let me bring in some samples, the bid to do it and everything, because again, that buyer's going to want to do it themselves. No. He spent $15,000, and this was like 20 years ago, on wool white carpeting for his whole house. Very first thing the buyer did was rip it all out, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that we know, and sometimes it's sellers hard to understand this, which I'm really challenged with, because sellers are hiring us for a reason, right? The highest, best success we will ever see is when the seller gets out of our way and lets us do our job.
Yeah.
That's when we see the highest success rate with anything we do. Just, you've hired us to be the professional. You've hired us to do what we know that needs to be done. We're in the trenches every single day. We're not Uncle Bob who sold 3 houses in the last 10 years. We know what the hell we're doing. Let us do our job. That's when you will experience the highest amount of success.
And that is typically when we have the happiest clients, right?
100%.
They'll give us a they relocate out of state.
Yes.
And then the next call they get from us is, oh yeah, we got eight offers on your house.
And there's a conversation that happens there, right? Hey, David, why are you doing this? Listen, I've done this many times before. Let me do it. Sit back, put that seatbelt on, and let's get ready for the ride.
No,
It gets easier the older you get, and I'm saying that in a respectful way. Like, you know, it's intimidating now as younger guys to
just tell us, trust us.
to trust us.
We
you
got
know?
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Well,
I can't
well,
wait.
Look at the experience we have right here.
So I'm saying, yeah.
Well,
so,
experience equals confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
Cool. Hey,
You know?
okay, so did you want to add anything?
No, we'll wrap it up.
Well, wrap
hold
up.
on, we got some time.
Here's
Okay.
what I love is this time of year, our predictions going into 25. So we know where the
was in
stats
here?
are today.
So, you know, it's funny. Last year, I think Aaron and I predicted that Jeet would not be on the team.
Oh,
Jeet's still here.
I don't know.
and he's a worker.
And yeah, Jeet's out in India. He's working hard. So I mean, I predict our team will stay intact. The 6 of us next
That was
year.
a thing, but okay.
Hey, you never know.
All right.
Aaron's kind of a wild card.
Fair enough.
And
Today.
he's sick, I think.
yeah,
But yeah, I think our team will stay intact. I know we have a sales goal of 300 million.
Our sales goal this year is 150, and we're almost going to be at 200 million by the end of the year.
Correct.
We're at 185 right now.
Yep,
So
yep.
Congratulations to all of you.
Yeah, so between the 6 of us, we want to sell 300 million in real estate next year. So, you know, I'm predicting that we come close to hitting that.
Yeah. I think we will, especially opening it up to the investor side of things. On how
Yeah, and I predict we will not be adding any new team members
agree. I
as
agree
long
with
as I can help it and I'm here.
Although we keep getting the
knock on the door.
Where is the market going to be?
Yeah.
Up, down, sideways, flat?
So if you talk to most of the talking heads, owners of brokerages and all that across the nation, averaging about a 10 to 12% increase in sales.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but again, it's all relative for us. If we sell 1,500 homes a month, that means, you know, we're going to sell 1,650 homes a month. I mean, it's not substantial, but again, more activity, more volume, the better.
Yeah, I believe, if you were to ask me this a few months ago, I'd have a different answer for you, but I do believe that we're going to continue to see this trend of appreciation going up, especially in our area. I do feel a little bit concerned about middle America, right? Because we're already seeing an increase of foreclosures and those things happening. But I believe on the coast, East and West Coast, specifically here in Silicon Valley, we're going to continue to see that 10 to 15% growth, which I would have been surprised if I was to say that back in June.
Well, yeah, and it's like with the exception of COVID, it's been a long time since home prices have gone down in our market.
Yeah,
we had that little dip when COVID hit, and
it was like we used to go that cycle 5 to 7 years, 5 up, down, 5 to 7 years, that roller coaster. Right now, it's like it's 12 years, 13 years. When the hell is it going to be pulled out from underneath us? But we also have to remember those times, you know, the regulations that came into place, right, where they're having neg-am loans and, you know, like a mirror and we'll give you a loan, don't really come into play.
Well, not only that, but I don't even think, like, because of the 2% and 3% interest rate, like, how could it ever fall? Literally, Santa Clara County, I think the stats like 85% of people have a 3 or
So I think
that
that might be the kicker to this, though, right? Because you have a lot of people who are. I mean, listen. I mean, if rates change, fortunately, I'll be somebody that can stay in my house. But I'm sitting on a 2.5% interest rate that goes away in 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there might be those individuals that are sitting on those homes that they would not normally been able to afford at a higher interest rate. Interest rate's going to change, and they're going to have to go from a 2.5 to 5.5 to 6.
That this month, I had to refinance out of my 4%.
Okay.
And I got a 7% interest.
There you go. Right. So that's the only potential concern I see happening.
rough.
But, and then you can talk about the commercial, same thing, right? You got commercial, all the, that's a whole different game.
Although in general, and I think this will transition in the new year as well, a lot of optimism, I think, in our valley and our markets.
Yeah.
San Francisco is starting to rebound now. Office space is making a comeback. The tech companies 100%. Are signing some huge leases right now.
And you got a lot of them moving back.
Yeah.
Too, from out of state coming back to California.
Well, a lot of them are making their employees now go back to the office 3 days a week, 5 days a week.
For those individuals that are looking for investments, those cap rates that were right around 4.5 to 5% for that corporate guaranteed triple net lease are now at 6.5 to 7.5. I mean, there's some great opportunities out there. Right?
I agree.
Yep.
So what are the predictions? Jason's gonna have a baby girl this year.
Oh my gosh, May.
May.
Let us pray.
All right, so prediction. Baby girl gonna look like you or look like Brooklyn? Coming out with a bald head and a beard?
Yes. We have good, strong Italian genes on this side, so I'm hoping they dominate. But she's got the Greek side, so hopefully it's a nice.
Hey, either way, it's gonna be good food, man.
That's right. She's gonna have a temper on her. Man.
Oh my gosh, let us pray.
But she'll love food.
There you go.
Food. So what's your prediction on the market, though?
I kind of agree with what Ben was saying. How we usually say February is kind of okay after the Super Bowl we're going. I think it's going to kick off a little earlier. And we're going to see a trend upwards.
Awesome.
Cool. And I think interest rates will continue to trend down slightly.
Yeah, slightly.
I think maybe we end next year with the average 30-year fixed around 5.25%.
Yeah, I was going to say sub 6. I think that's a good place to land.
Yeah, I think
Vinny.
so.
Yeah, to piggyback from Jason, I think inventory is going to pick up a lot quicker, just based off of our office, our team, friends in the industry that we have. I mean, there's a lot coming on. I'm trying to gauge a lot of my buyers because, again, I think going into this month, it was like, oh, where's the inventory? Should we stop? Should we wait till next year? Should we summertime? I'm like, no, don't wait till the summertime. Wait till 2 weeks from now and.
I think we're going to mirror this year. I think we're going to be sitting here same time next year, and you'll be saying there's 450 homes on the market.
Yeah, and I hope. I mean, obviously, we have higher goals, but even what we did this year as a team, I think is remarkable, and hopefully it continues.
Yeah. It will.
Let's go.
There's no hope.
All right,
we will.
That's right. Well, and that's because we have great clients. Great spheres of influence and our referral partners that support us. So, all right, well, that's it.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
everyone.
We'll see you next year.
Boom.
Boom.